What if you were trapped 2,000 feet below the ocean with no light, no oxygen, and only minutes left to breathe? Imagine hearing your teammate's voice on the radio, panicked, broken, saying, "I'm still alive, but I can't feel my legs." Around him, freezing water rushes in. His oxygen is dropping fast. Above the surface, the rescue team is arguing because saving him could kill everyone else. This is not a superhero story. This is not a fantasy. This is a realistic deep-sea nightmare, where one wrong decision means death in total darkness. Today, I'm breaking down Last Breath 2025, one of the most intense survival thrillers ever made. Stay till the end, because the final decision in this movie will leave you speechless. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Real Movie Breakdown, the channel where we explain movies, scene by scene, in the simplest and most exciting way. If you love survival thrillers, true story-inspired movies, and stories where humans fight against impossible odds, make sure you watch till the end and hit that subscribe button, because we post videos like this every week. Now, let's dive deep into the ocean. The movie opens with a wide aerial shot of the ocean, calm, endless, and beautiful. A subtitle appears: North Sea Offshore Oilfield. Beneath this peaceful surface lies a world humans were never meant to enter. We are introduced to a team of commercial saturation divers, elite professionals who repair underwater pipelines at extreme depths. These men don't dive for minutes. They live under pressure for weeks. Main characters intro: Chris, a calm, experienced diver, respected by everyone. Duncan, the team leader, strict but deeply protective. Dave, a young diver, skilled but still proving himself. They live inside a pressurized diving chamber aboard a massive support ship. Once inside, they cannot return to the surface normally, or their bodies will shut down. Their lives depend on oxygen mixtures, cables, and constant communication with the surface team. One small failure means death. The crew receives a routine task: repair a damaged underwater gas pipeline resting on the seabed. Depth: 300 feet. Visibility: near zero. Temperature: freezing. Chris and Dave are selected to dive, while Duncan monitors everything from the bell. They enter the diving bell, a metal capsule lowering them slowly into darkness. As the bell descends, some light disappears. The only thing left is heavy breathing, radio chatter, and the sound of metal creaking under pressure. On the seabed, everything feels alien. Huge machines, pipes stretching into darkness, and complete silence. Chris moves confidently, guiding Dave. Their umbilical cables, carrying oxygen, power, and communication, are their lifeline. Back on the ship, the surface crew monitors weather conditions. Suddenly, strong currents start pulling the ship. Alarms begin to beep. The captain orders emergency positioning thrusters to activate, but something goes wrong. A violent surge pulls the ship off position. Below the surface, Chris feels a sudden jerk. His cable tightens. Then, snap! Chris is violently thrown into darkness. His umbilical cable is severed. No oxygen supply, no communication, no power, just darkness and silence. Dave screams into the radio, but Chris cannot respond. He checks his emergency tank. 5 minutes of oxygen left. 5 minutes. At the bottom of the ocean, Chris tries to stay calm. He turns on his helmet light, but it barely cuts through the blackness. His breathing becomes heavier. On the ship, panic explodes. The crew realizes the truth. Chris is alive, but completely alone. Rescue is almost impossible. To send another diver down would take time. Time Chris doesn't have. The ocean doesn't care about courage or experience. It only cares about pressure. The control room falls completely silent. Chris has less than 5 minutes of oxygen left. Everyone knows one brutal truth. Even elite Navy divers would struggle at this depth. But Duncan refuses to give up. He says something that defines the entire movie. If there's even a 1% chance he's alive, we go. The crew starts calculating a rescue dive. But here's the problem. To send another diver down safely requires equipment checks, pressure equalization, valve preparation. Minimum time, 20 minutes. Chris does not have 20 minutes. Down below, Chris crawls across the seabed. Every movement wastes oxygen. His light flickers. He finds a section of pipeline and wedges himself against it, trying to stay still, calm, and conserve air. He switches to his emergency bailout tank. The gauge drops fast. His breathing becomes shallow. His mind begins to wander. We see flashbacks. His family. His first dive. Conversations about fear and trust. This is no longer just survival. This is acceptance of death. Back on the ship, Duncan comes up with a dangerous idea. Instead of following standard safety rules, he volunteers to dive immediately. No full system reset. No perfect conditions. Just speed. The crew argues. One mistake means 2 dead divers instead of 1. But Duncan doesn't hesitate. I won't leave him down there. Duncan enters the diving bell alone. The bell drops rapidly. Warning alarm scream. The ocean gets rougher. The ship struggles to hold position. Everyone watches the clock. Chris's oxygen timer hits. 1 minute remaining. Down below, Chris's vision blurs. His breathing stops. His body goes limp. His helmet camera goes dark. On the ship, someone whispers, "We lost him." Silence. No heartbeat monitor. No movement. Officially, Chris is dead. Duncan refuses to abort. He reaches the seabed, using sonar and memory. He searches blindly through darkness. Suddenly, he sees something. A diver. Motionless. Floating near the pipeline. It's Chris. A miracle moment. Duncan grabs Chris. No response. No breathing. He checks his vitals. Nothing. Chris has been without oxygen for several minutes. By medical standards, irreversible brain damage should have occurred. But Duncan refuses to accept it. He connects Chris to his own oxygen supply. He starts emergency ascent procedures. This is insanely dangerous. Ascending too fast can collapse lungs, cause massive embolisms, kill both divers. But staying means death anyway. As the bell ascends, alarms continue blaring. The ocean fights them. The ship loses positioning again. The bell slams violently. Chris remains unconscious. Everyone on the ship prepares for the worst. The bell finally breaches the surface. Crew members rush in. Chris is pulled out. He's pale, cold, unmoving. Medics start CPR immediately. Minutes pass. Nothing. Then, Chris coughs. Water spills from his mouth. He gasps for air. Everyone freezes. Then chaos. He's alive. Against every scientific explanation. Chris survived. Chris is breathing again. But the danger is not over. His body has suffered oxygen deprivation, extreme pressure trauma, neurological risk. And the biggest question remains. Chris is rushed into the medical bay. Doctors immediately place him in a pressurized recovery chamber. This is not normal treatment because Chris's body is still saturated with deep-sea gases. If they decompress him too fast, his blood could literally boil from the inside. The crew watches helplessly as medics fight 2 enemies at once: oxygen damage and pressure damage. Chris opens his eyes for a moment. He doesn't recognize anyone. His hands shake. He tries to speak, but no sound comes out. The doctor looks at Duncan and says something chilling. Even if he survives, there's a high chance he may never walk again. Or worse, he may never be the same person. Duncan's face breaks. This wasn't just about saving a diver anymore. This was about the cost of survival. The film slows down here and explains something terrifyingly real. When a human is deprived of oxygen, after 30 seconds, panic. After 1 minute, brain damage begins. After 3 minutes, cells start dying. After 5 minutes, death is considered permanent. Chris was without oxygen for over 6 minutes. So how did he survive? The answer is horrifying and incredible. At extreme depths, freezing temperatures slow the body down. Chris's brain entered a protective shutdown. His body didn't fight death. It surrendered, and that surrender saved him. Chris remains unconscious for days. The crew is ordered to stand down. The mission is officially aborted, but no one celebrates. Dave blames himself. He replays the moment the cable snapped again and again. If I was faster, if I noticed sooner. Duncan visits Chris every day, sits beside the chamber, says nothing, just waits. Because in the deep sea, waiting is sometimes the only thing you can do. Doctors face a brutal choice. To fully revive Chris, they must risk permanent damage. To keep him safe, they may need to let him live, but not truly live. Chris finally wakes up. He can't feel his legs. His voice is weak, but his mind is sharp. He looks at Duncan and asks, "Did you come back for me?" Duncan answers quietly, "Every time." Chris understands everything instantly. He asks the doctor one final question. "If I try to recover, what are the chances I walk again?" The doctor hesitates. "Less than 10%. Chris closes his eyes, then says something no one expects. "Do it anyway." Because after facing death in total darkness, fear doesn't work the same anymore. The movie shifts from ocean depths to hospital corridors. Rehabilitation begins. Chris collapses trying to stand. Pain replaces pressure. Months pass. He learns how to breathe again, how to balance, how to fight his own body. Dave visits him, apologizes. Chris stops him. "This wasn't your fault. This is the job." That line hits harder than any explosion. Because this movie isn't about villains. It's about reality. 1 year later, Chris stands on a pier. He walks with a slight limp, but he's walking. The ocean stretches endlessly before him. Duncan stands beside him. Neither of them speaks. Because words don't belong here. The camera pulls back. Text appears on screen. Based on true events. Commercial saturation. Diving remains one of the most dangerous professions on Earth. Rescue missions like this are extremely rare. Survival is never guaranteed. Chris takes one step closer to the edge. He looks down into the water, not with fear, but respect. Fade to black. This movie doesn't glorify heroism. It doesn't promise happy endings. It shows something far more terrifying. That survival sometimes depends on luck and the willingness of others to risk everything. No superpowers. No dramatic music saving the day. Just humans making impossible decisions in impossible conditions. Last Breath 2025 isn't just a survival thriller. It's a reminder. The ocean doesn't forgive. The ocean doesn't care. And yet, humans still go back down. So that's Last Breath 2025, a movie that proves sometimes the scariest horror is real life. If this story gave you chills, if you felt that final rescue moment in your chest, then trust me, this is one movie you will never forget. Comment below. Would you risk your life to save your teammate? And if you enjoy intense survival stories, true event-inspired movies, and deep breakdowns like this, make sure you subscribe to Real Movie Breakdown. Because every week, we dive into stories where one decision means life or death. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and never forget,